Hi, third graders. Today we're going to be doing some Chapter 8 fraction practice. We are in our Go Math books on page 499 to start. And we're going to go through a few pages here with some practice problems to get you ready for the test which is coming up. So let's get started. Number 1. Each shape is divided into equal parts. Select the shapes that show thirds. Mark all that apply. So go ahead and take a look at each of these shapes. Remember, when we're looking for fractions, we want to make sure they have the same size shapes or equal parts. And we're looking for thirds. Go ahead and give it a try. Pause the video if you need it, and come back and check your work. So I see that B is divided into thirds, and each of those sections is an equal part. So if you said B, great work. And D was also divided into thirds. Good job. A and C are not. They're divided into fourths instead. Okay, let's go down to number 2. What fraction names the shaded part of the shape? Well, I know that my denominator is going to tell me, in this case, I know it's not a fraction greater than 1 because I don't have an entire whole piece. So I see there's one rectangle divided into pieces. I'm going to count those pieces carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know that I have 8 parts in all. And then I'm looking here for the shaded. Sometimes it might call for unshaded. So you have to look to see which one. And I see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are shaded. And I would read that 6/8, so I know that C is my correct answer. Okay, now we're moving down to number 3. Omar shaded a model to show the part of the lawn that he finished mowing. What fraction names the shaded part? Explain how you know how to find the fraction. So I'm going to underline the word shaded. I'm looking at that because I know that I needed to focus on the shaded part. And I see I'm going to count these carefully because I have a lot of pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total pieces. And I know that there is one that is shaded. And so I know that he mowed 1/8 of his lawn. So to explain that, let's see. I'll put here 1/8, and then I'm going to put my explanation. There are 8 equal parts, and one part is shaded. So I write 1 on the top and 8 on the bottom. We can even use some math vocabulary. We could have used the words numerator. So we could have I wrote 1 as the numerator on the top of my fraction and 8 as the denominator. So if you need to pause the video to finish writing that, you may do that. Okay, let's go to our next problem. We're continuing now on to we're at number 6 now, and we're going to be going on to page 500. So we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit. We're not doing numbers 4 and 5, so we're going on to number 6 on page 500. So we'll write that at the top. Caleb took 18 photos at the zoo. 1/6 of his photos are of giraffes. How many of Caleb's photos are giraffes? Okay, so I have to first look at my fraction here, 1/6. Then I always write that above. And I know he has a total of 18 photos. Now I know that this denominator is going to tell me how many groups he has. So he has his 18 photos and he has them into 6 groups. And 1 out of 6 of those groups are giraffes. Maybe 2/6, maybe another 6th of them are of bears. Maybe another 6th of them are of snakes, and so on. But we have to figure out how many are giraffes. So my denominator tells me that I need to make 6 circles, or put them into 6 groups. And then I'm going to divide those photos up. So you can think of this as a division sentence, 18 divided by 6, if you would like, or you can separate your photos this way if you'd like to. And keep counting, and once you get to 18, you know you're finished. And we need to focus just on 1/6 of them, which is right here. This is another 6, and another 6, and another 6, and another 6, and another 6. This blue box that I wrote around here is the number of giraffes that he has, because 1/6 of his photos are giraffes. So 3 photos are photos of giraffes. Okay, let's go down to number 7. For number 7, we're going to be working with equal shares like we've practiced. So I want you to pause the video and see if you can divide this up. We have 3 teachers and they're sharing 2 packs of paper equally. And this is one of those mark all that apply. So you want to divide those up first. Remember, ask yourself, can each teacher get an entire piece of paper? If not, ask yourself, can they get half of a sheet of paper? And if they can't get one whole sheet or a half sheet, then you divide these pieces into 3, into thirds, because that's the number of people that there are. So go ahead and give this one a try and pause it and come back and check your work. So I'm going to divide this. First, I'm asking myself, I know 1 whole, each teacher couldn't get 1 whole, there's only 2 pieces. And if I divide them in half, that could be an option. If I were to split these papers in half, I know that teacher 1 would get 1/2, teacher 2 would get another half, teacher 3 would get that half. And then I would have to split up that final section to do that. And so I would have some left over there. So I think what I'm going to do is erase that and try another way. I'm going to go to the number of people. I'm going to divide it like that. So now I'm going to divide each of these pieces into thirds. And so teacher 1 would get 1 out of this sheet of paper, and teacher 1 would also get that one. So I see that they're going to be getting 2/3 of the pack of paper. And that's really the only one that matches, because 3/2 of a pack, they wouldn't be able to get 3/2. 3/6 of a pack would not work. A half of the pack, you'd still have some left over, another half left over, and 1/3 of the pack wouldn't work either. So that's our answer, 2/3 of a pack. Okay, so now we're going to number 10. This is on page 502. Just make this a little bit bigger here. We're on 502 now. Okay, number 10. The model shows 1 whole. What fraction of the model is not shaded? Okay, now I see that I don't have a fraction greater than 1. So I have a typical fraction that I'm used to, with my denominator being the total number of pieces. And in this case, my numerator is the part that's not shaded. So let's count our pieces. We have 4 total pieces in all, and the number that are shaded are 2. So we have 2/4 of our model there is shaded. I also could divide this another way. There's an equivalent fraction here that equals 2/4. If you said 1/2, you would have that correct too, because as you can see, 2 of those pieces makes 1/2 of that shape. So if you said that, great job. Okay, let's go down to number 11. Together, Amy and Thea make up 1/4 of the middle fielders on the soccer team. How many middle fielders are on the team? Show your work. All right, so I have 2 people here, I see. And I have 1/4 as my fraction, and that's representing Amy and Thea. My denominator there is going to tell me how many groups I need. So I'm saying here I have my team of the middle fielders, and they're divided into 4ths. Amy and Thea make up 1/4. So this is Amy and Thea in my first 1/4 group. how many middle fielders are on the team? Well, I know I have to keep going now, and I have to keep adding 2 to represent all the fourths that we have. And so we can multiply if we want. 2 times 4 to equal 8, or we can skip count. We have 8 midfielders on the team in all. Okay, let's go to number 12. 6 friends share 4 apples equally. How much apple does each friend get? So I'm going to ask myself first, can each friend get their own apple? And they can't, because I have 4 apples and I have 6 friends, so that wouldn't be enough for them. And if I would divide these in half, let's just draw that line here and just try it. We'd have 2, 4, 6, 8. So that would not work either. So we're going to divide now by the number of people that there are. So we're going to divide each one into 6. And then we shade what each friend would get, what friend 1 would get. Friend 1 would get a 6th from every apple. And so friend 1 would get 4 6ths. Now there's another way that you could split this up. So I'll show you that over here. Let's have our apples again. In this case, we could also divide each one in half. And friend 1 would get this piece, friend 2, friend 3, friend 4, friend 5, friend 6. But then I could divide this into 6ths. And so friend 1 would also get 1/6 out of that apple. So then altogether, each friend would get 1/2 and 1/6 of the apple. So you can solve that either way. Okay, let's go down to our bottom problem here. Number 13, each shape is one whole. And I see here we have a fraction greater than 1. And we're on page 502 now. So 502 if you weren't there before. And we're going to now be figuring out which one of these matches. So for numbers 13a through 13e, choose yes or no to show whether the number names the parts that are shaded. So what I always do for this one, I figure it out first. So I see that I have 4 holes. See if you can remember how to do a fraction greater than 1, where your denominator tells the total that each hole is divided into, and your numerator tells you all of the pieces out of all the entire whole. So go ahead and try to figure that out. And so if you said that our denominator is 2, you're correct, because each hole is divided into 2 pieces, and they're in half, they're split in halves, and all together we count 2, 4, 6, there are 8 halves. And I can check my work by dividing. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. And so now I have to choose yes or no to see which one's correct. So go ahead and pause the video, give that a try, and come back and check your work. Okay, if you said 4 is correct, you are right, because there are 4 holes. 8 would not work here because there are not 8 whole pies. 8 halves, yes, that would work. We don't have 8 fourths because our shapes are not divided into fourths. And we don't have 2 eighths because that is actually this, our usual that we're used to from the way beginning of our fraction. This would represent 2 eighths. So that would not work. Okay, so those were our right answers. We had 13A and 13C. Thank you for learning with me today, Sharks. And when you work on your Chapter 8 pretest on the Personal Math Trainer in Go Math, it will help you to practice more of these concepts. Thanks for learning with me.